Let's have a little conversation about something we talk about 8 times a day.
More than that.
Umbrella and excess.
That's right. It's a beautiful thing.
It's been interesting, kind of the expectation of capital coming into the market and the hopes that umbrella and excess layers would expand and stop contracting and that rates would be alleviated. It hasn't really been that way so far, huh?
No, it's been a hope and only a hope. But I think we've done a decent job navigating through and kind of finding the holes and figuring out the paths to get it done.
Yeah, I agree. The marketplace is still in a bit of turmoil. COVID hangover seems like it's done, and courts are back, and jury verdicts are up and through the roof, and everybody on the side that I talk to, I think you too, is just griping about needing more rate, needing to continue to cut capacity.
It's been a challenge.
And having issues with reinsurance, and not the least of which is term and condition issues, you know, mandatory PFAS and folks wanting human trafficking, like this.
Further controls around fire life safety with all the fires occurring recently and the large catastrophic claim activity.
It seems to be where the market is heading right now. And the only new capacity that seems to have come in is MGA type, which, you know, I think for those folks to get their treaties done, you kind of have to live with some terms and conditions that are maybe a little bit tighter than what we're used to.
Yep. I feel like, you know, what we've done such a good job at is building the relationships with the carriers who we know are going to play on a tough real estate schedule or a tough construction tower. And I just think we've done a decent job of kind of getting them the information they need and just lining them up in a way where we can build a tower to either, you know, dethrone an RPG or beat a, you know, tower that we're competing against, something along those lines.
You hit a great point. I mean, in addition to the crunch of capacity, RPGs for, you know, for real estate historically have never been beatable. Right. And now we're finding that as they continue to cut capacity and increase rate, they are beatable.
Right, I mean, and it's because they're taking claims, right? So they need to readjust their pricing, and now it's becoming attainable for us to beat it in the brokerage market.
Yeah, so I think for retailers out there that feel like that warm, cozy blanket of having an RPG on their excess tower might be worth a phone call to a transactional broker
Without
at Jencap just to see if there's an opportunity there.
Definitely.
The other thing you mentioned in terms of having our carrier panel set, having the relationships with the carriers, and knowing where they want to play, what they want to do, what their appetite is. Right. I mean, that goes without saying. I think what we're finding is that the retailers are coming to us super last minute. A lot of times they're still negotiating their primary underlying terms, either on the auto or on the GL, and they're coming to us last minute with, you know, kind of panic. What am I going to do? So I think we've done an exceptional job of being able to know where the carrier plays and drop the dominoes as fast as possible.
And be able to give real pricing plus or minus 5-6% within, you know, 2 or 3 day span.
Yeah.
You know, prior to a presentation or something like that, and then executing and actually getting the quotes out in a timely fashion and getting the thing bound.
I think that is something we are better than most at,
right.
is being able to, we know that the retailer has, in most cases, multiple other lines, multiple other problems.
Right.
If they can rely on us and trust us that we can give them a high and a low and not to exceed range and an aggressive range, and we will fall somewhere in between that, and they are 99.9% confident that if we say we could do it, we will, they can focus their energy and effort on something else and not have to worry about, you know, knocking on our door saying, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Right.
And I think that's something that we've benefited from. It makes the job easier, and it's something that sets us apart.
Right. And for us on our end, it's, you know, it's hectic. It's just plug and play. It's get the same email out to 8 different carriers and kind of just piece it together like a puzzle. You know, like we can finish the top layer before we even have the first 5 done, but it's still something. Exactly. Yeah. So it's still something at the end of the day, and we can work our way down or work our way up, but it's pretty special, I think, the way we kind of tackle these towers.
Yeah, I think it adds a lot of value to the retail community. The earlier they get to us, the easier it is for us.
Right.
You know, to be able to look at an account, look at an underlying schedule, and being able to say, this is the high, this is the low,
Right.
and then we set our own deal path.
Right.
We put it together, by layer of what we expect, and then our brokerage team just follows the path. And
Right.
knocks down each layer one at a time efficiently. I think it's been phenomenal.
Absolutely.
On our side.
And a big value add I think we have is, our retailers call us all the time. They might have a 25x of primary where they're seeing a 60% increase, but it was so cheap the prior year, we can quickly say, oh no, we can probably beat this, or you have a great deal. Keep it going with them and maybe catch us next year on it. So
Right.
we can quickly validate an excess tower.
Sometimes a quick no is
Right.
A quick no is, I don't want to say always as great as a long yes, but
Right.
it's pretty good.
Exactly.
From a term condition standpoint, I mean, we're not really seeing, other than just the continued crunch.
Right.
So I think educating the retailer as to, hey, finding a slug of 25 million of capacity is probably not going to happen unless you've got a relatively vanilla account and or your attachment point is 50 million or 100 million. So making sure that the retailers know and can communicate to their buyer that we might have to do this in more slugs than we've ever had to do
Right.
before. Kind
Right.
of that 1 to 5 million deployment within the first 10, that 5 to 10 deployment in the next 15, that 10 to 15 deployment exit 25.
Right.
Most of these retailers that we've traded with, they rather, I mean us too, would rather a slug of 25
Right.
or a slug of 50. It's just, I don't see it coming back.
We give up capacity for more favorable pricing up the tower. So if an agent
Totally.
wants less carriers, it's ill-advised, right? So we'll probably advise them that the more capacity a single carrier is putting out, the more premium it's gonna generate.
Totally. We
So,
see it every day, like that trade-off of if you'll accept a little less capacity from this carrier, you'll get a better relativity.
Exactly.
They'll give you a higher, more punitive relativity if you want more of their capacity. That's a
Precisely.
great point.
Definitely. So we do an excellent job at laying out what the exact path is going to look like prior to having any of the quotes done. And I think the deal path that we got here has been a great component to get.
Yeah, this is a sign we keep in our office for our staff so that everyone remembers to follow the deal
Always
path.
follow the deal path.
It's both internal and external,
Right.
as you mentioned.
Yep.
Internally, we want to make sure that our brokerage teams understand what that path looks like, who the carriers are, what the limit deployment is that we think and is best for this insured, and then we use it externally, right, with the retailer to set expectations that we know definitively we can deliver on.
Right.
And again, circling back to expectation management and pace of play, following the deal path allows us to set appropriate expectations with our retailers that we can deliver on, and it allows us to drop dominoes incredibly fast because oftentimes they're coming to us last minute.
Exactly.